Welcome to Web Wonders. I want to create an application that combines OpenUI5, a powerful JavaScript UI library, and with the Firebase, a backend as a service platform. So today the idea of the application is FireUI5 Task Manager, which is a real-time task management application, which will be built, as I said, OpenUI5 and Firebase, which allows users to create, edit, and manage tasks in real time, and users also can sign up, log in, and securely authenticate. So for that we use Firebase authentication, and we try to create a intuitive user interface using the components and controls available from OpenUI5 library directly. As a first part of the video, I would like to show you the project setup and some explanation about the structure itself. What is a view, where to write this what's a manifest JSON, and where to write the functionalities and stuff I would like to show you. And after that, I would like to create a sign in page and a sign up page with introducing some uh, websites from OpenUI5 itself, some documentation where how can you see what kind of controls are present, and how can you create a nice intuitive design basically. So I would like to show this in this part of video. Once it is done, we would like to create a Firebase authentication in a second video, and probably continue with creating the task manager view as well. Now let's dive into the project setup. We will start by setting up our project for the FireUI5 Task Manager application. The first step is to make sure you have a Node.js installed on your machine. Just to check if it is installed or not, you can try to type this command node and hyphen v, so which prints out the version of the node. If not, I'll keep the links below to install Node.js. And now let's start with our project setup. The easy way to start a new UFI project is to use a template generator. For example, like generator easy UFI. So for that, let's try to install this generator npm install. Let's try to install globally yo generator. Don't worry, I'll try to keep these commands in the description. You can use them directly. So I'm trying to install it. This may take a couple of minutes, so I'll try to skip it until it is loaded. You can see that it is installed right now. Okay, now let's try to create a project. Okay, you can just, it's a simple command, use yo. So it will ask for us the inputs. We'll need to select some of the inputs to create the project. So for this case, let's select easy UFI. So we have other options as well, but let's try to use easy UFI for now. And select your generator, what you want to generate. So right now, let me create a project for it. So this would be the project, and there are multiple options here as well. What we are trying to create, we are trying to create a new OpenUI5 or SAP UFI project. So let me select the app. So we need to give a project name for it. So let's try to create a project name like maybe Fire UI5 Task Manager. I would suggest to use alphanumerics. And what would be the namespace? For example, for this case, I would give KW Web Wonders. Okay, it's a company.w. You can give any name. So do you want to use some SAP elements? No, I don't want to use. So in which platform would you like to host? You can select anything. For now, I'll select static web server. And which view type do you want to use? I'll come about this topic a little bit later, but right now we select XML view. And where should your libraries to be served from. Select content delivery network for OpenUI5. So I will come to this point also a little later. Would you like to create a new directory for the project? Yeah, I would like to create. Yes. Would you like to add a JavaScript assistant libraries to the project? No, maybe. Would you like to initialize a Git repository? No, I don't want to initialize anything right now. So now you can see that it is trying to create a project structure for us. It has created. Let's navigate to the project directory. Right now we can use cd command for it, and you can use the project name which you are given right now. So this is the project directory which we can navigate. So now let me, if you can see left hand side, it has created a project structure. I can expand it. So this is the structure it has created. We have node modules, UI module, and the other couple of files. So we'll go some of the files which are required for us to read. Okay, so I'll go to UI model, which is the important one right now, and in which we have web app. So I would say this is the main project structure. So we have index.html file, okay, which is the main file, or which is the file which the application starts from. And we have component.js file, which is another important file which I'm going to discuss a little bit later. And manifest.json, it's just a JSON file with couple of properties where we'll try to declare routers, we'll try to declare models and everything here, which is also another important file. And you can see it has created views which are XML type. We want to use XML type. If you remember, we have uh, opted for XML views. And similarly, we have controllers where we try to write our functionality, and we have our model folder as well. So basically UI5 follows MVC architecture. So model, view, controller. So likewise we have different folders as well. And even we have CSS folder. We are also using I18 for the language translations. Okay. So it's a pretty good that with this simple generator we have created the entire project structure. Now let's try to execute with this basic project structure. For that, you can just start the project by typing npm start. Let's see, the URL has been generated. It's a local host. Yeah, you know it. So you can just copy it, and you can try to open it in the browser directly. So let me bring the browser. So I'll try to select initiate from the index.html. Tada! You can see the application is already running. Let us start by taking a look at the index.html file. So, which is the entry point of our application. As you can see, we have a standard HTML file structure with a document type declaration and opening and closing tag for HTML tag. We have a header section and a body section below. In the header section, we have some meta tags for character encoding, viewport settings, and compatibility settings for Internet Explorer. We also have a title tag that specifies the title of our application. Moving on, we have a script tag with an ID SAP UI Bootstrap that includes the SAP UI5 library or OpenUI5 library from a remote URL. So this is the core library that we will be using for building our OpenUI5 application. We specify the theme as SAP Fury 3 and provide a data SAP UI resource routes attribute that maps our application namespace to the current directory where our application files are located. We also specify some additional settings such as async mode, compact version, frame operations. Finally, in the body section, we have a div tag with a data SAP UI component that specifies the name of our application component as com.ww.FireUI5 Task Manager. So this division will serve as the container of our application. So let's now take a look at component.js file. So now let's take a closer look at the component.js file. Uh, First, this component.js file is a JavaScript file that serves as an entry point for our OpenUI5 application. It represents the component of our application and contains configuration settings, metadata, and lifecycle hooks. Okay, let's go through the important points of the component.js file. First, we define a SAP UI.core.ui component module using SAP UI define function, which is the recommended way of defining UI5 UI components in OpenUI5. This module represents our application component and is assigned for a variable for a later use. Next, we define the metadata of our application component, which includes properties, aggregations, events, other settings. Then we define the init function, which is a lifecycle hook that gets called during the component initialization. This is where we can perform necessary setup tasks such as uh, initializing the router, setting the device model, or initializing the Firebase. Finally, we return the component instance which represents our application component and make it available for the framework to use. So this is the brief about component.js file. Now let's move on to manifest.json file. The manifest.json file is a configuration file that defines various settings for our OpenUI5 application, such as application title, description, icons, dependencies, and other properties. Let's take a closer look at the manifest.json file. First, we define a sap.app section which contains general application settings such as application ID, application title, descriptions, etc. Next, we define a sap.ui section which contains settings related to user interface of our application such as technology stack, uh, themes, language settings, device types, and stuff. So then we have sap.ui5 section where we define the libraries we want to use. So we have different libraries. Okay, so one is from mobile, one is from core. So likewise, we'll have one library for forms, one library for layouts. So they are distributed into different libraries. So this can be defined as a dependencies in this sap.ui5 section. Similarly, we define models. What are models? So basically, models are used to handle the data in our application. So we have by default an I18N model, so which is called as a resource model, which will be used for language translation. So likewise, we'll have a JSON model, which we will use for data storage, local data storage, and we use these models to push the data to backend and bring the data and keep it in the models back. And similarly, we have defined resources here. So by default, it was defined, and you can see style.css file was uh, present by default for us. And also we have a routing. So if you don't know about routing, it's like if you want to navigate from one screen to different screen, we need to define this in this section. So we need to define the routing paths pattern, how uh, each view can be called. So this kind of stuff we'll try to write it here. And similarly, we have the important section here which is called as root view. So you can see here that the root view is the main view when this application starts. So as you already know, the application starts with an index.html file which calls component.json and which calls manifest.json. And in the manifest.json, this is a section where it tries to find which view needs to be loaded first. So this is where you can see the view dot app was declared here. So that means it tries to load a view which is app.view.xml as a base view in it, etc. And finally, we can also define our own custom sections in the manifest.json file to store our application specific settings or metadata. That's the brief overview about index.html, component.js, and manifest.json. So, right now we can see the output like this. So now let's try to build our FireUI5 Task Manager application. So for that, I would like to start with a login page and sign up page and the main page. Okay. So for that, if you see in the structure, we have already a view was created. So which is main view. So I would try to explain all the other parts, all the other files needed every time when I try to use it. So for now, let's concentrate on this main view. So if you can see, the output which we are seeing is basically the output of the main view. Okay, so in OpenUI5 or SAP UI5, basically it's not similar to React.js. Okay, so where in React.js or AngularJS in the other frameworks, we need to build the views or the UI elements from scratch using HTML, CSS as an example. But here SAP is providing us an components already. So that's the reason we are using XML. So for that purpose, I would suggest there is a site. I will introduce you through this site so that you can see what all components exist there, and you can also see the code, how each component can be written in XML format. And I try to take simple examples and try to create this login page. Okay, so now I'll try to paste this URL uh, in the description. So I would say this is an documentation or API reference for this SAP UI5 or OpenUI5 controls. Okay, so you can see here we have a documentation tab where you can see complete documentation about UI5 and API reference, so where it gives information about each control. Okay, for example, controls, I mean either a table or a input field or a date field or a list. So all these are available as a control directly from UI5. So we have samples. Okay, so likewise you can see a lot of samples. For example, I want to see a table sample from UI5. So for example, I'll search for table. So you can, it's a big list. Okay, so you can choose responsive table. So here, if you can see, as soon as I click on it, so it will show which table we are using, because SAP also has different libraries here. So right now this is from sap.m library, which is mobile based library. So that's the reason it is responsive. You can use it in a desktop version or a mobile version. This table automatically renders. Okay, so as an thing, right now you can see we have 20 samples. Okay, so I'll try to open the first samples. Here you can also see the description about this table. Okay, if as soon as I click, so it tries to load this example. So this table is available out of the box, I would say, because if we are using other technologies, we need to construct this table using HTML, CSS. But you can see this is already beautifully constructed. You can directly use this. Okay, so we can also try to create these tables directly. So here I want to describe some options here. Okay, in the top we have some operation options. For example, if you click on this API reference button, it tries to open the API reference document for SAP table. Here you can see what all properties there for the table, what is an aggregation, associations, or events presence for this table. So everything comes. Okay, so this is a basically documentation you can read through based on your requirement. You can enable the properties, you can trigger the events. So likewise. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so I would See, there are two arrow marks. It's just to see the next examples, because here you can see 20 samples are present. Okay, so this is the first sample. So if I want to go to the next sample, so you can just click on this arrow mark and you can see the next sample. So it's just samples are based on different examples. Okay, so here you can also see what exactly it is. So here it is defining the column widths. Okay, for example, if I define 30 percentage, so this changes. So that's the reason it's like an examples they have created. So if you would like to see what's the code behind this example, so there is this option you can see. So it shows source code for this sample. So you can click on it, and there is this same structure follows. There is a XML view, there is a controller for this XML view, and there is a CSS if you want to define extra CSS, and there is a manifest. So it's the same controls, I mean same architecture it follows. So if you want to, for example, create a table, you can directly copy this table code and paste it in our thing, in our VS code, so you can see this table directly. So that's the best thing. Okay, you have a lot of samples here which you can directly use. Okay, so it table is a complex control, I would say. I will not start with the table, but I will simply start with an basically an input control. Okay, so it's an input box. So I know in HTML we can directly write it as an input, it's easier, but even in UI5 this input has extra properties, extra functionalities which we can directly use. Okay, let me search for input here. Okay, so it tries to show a lot of examples, as I said. Okay, different type of things. You can just open each of them and really see. Once you are practiced or once you are used to this website, it's easier to find. Okay, so for example, this is the input I would like to see. So even input has different examples. Okay, so it's like 18 samples. You can really see what you would like to see. Okay, so I would see the first one, input assisted. Okay, so it's like, see, as when I type something, it shows an list of fields for us. And as soon as I type, you can see here it shows an options which starts with. So it is the assisted input. Okay. So similarly, I can go to the next options, assisted with two values. You let me type again. See, you can see the left side it shows one value, and the left right side you can show the other value. It's like key and description type of thing. And you can see tabular suggestions. It's like, maybe I'll try to type C. So it's like a table suggestion. Okay, so that's the benefit of UI5, as I said. Okay, so all these components are directly available and it's easy to use based on your requirement. Okay, you just need to find this proper control so that you can get it. Okay, so for example, you can see here there is a form. Yeah, I think it suits for us form. Okay, if I click on submit, you can see there is a message already. So validation needs to be done because there is no uh, name entered or email entered. Okay, so I would see this email. Uh, I would say this email input box is a good control for us to start with. Okay, so now you can see there is a label, there is a input box, there is a label, input box, and a submit button. So I'll try to go to this code right now. See here, you can, it's maybe pretty, I mean, it's hard to understand this entire code at the first time. Okay, but you will be used to it. Okay, so I would see, just read through the code just to understand what exactly it is. Okay, so now I would say uh, we are looking for an input for sure. So you can see the input for email ID is here. Okay, so I'll just try to copy this code. So I'm just trying to copy this code and paste it in my view. Okay, so I'm just splitting it so that I have start tags and end tags. Okay, so now I'll just paste my code here. Okay, let me just indent it so that it looks good. So you can see this is the input control. Okay, I'll just save it. I just want to see how the output was. Okay, so as soon as I save it, I go to the output. You can see the input box already. So that's it. So you can just copy the code and try to do it, and we can then modify it as per our need. Okay, that's the thing I would say. For now, what I would do is, I don't want to do this validations. Okay, so for that reason I just take this value state. So I don't want to do this value state right now. Okay, I'll explain it later, and I also keep this value as empty as a starting point. Okay, let's go in detail little later. So if you are aware of HTML and CSS, it's easy to understand. Okay, it's just an tag, and we have an different attributes. We have a different attributes, and we are just giving the values for each. Okay, so this thing class is written for styling. So SAP has also given us a default stylings for us to use directly. So if you can see in the name itself, it says that it's small margin bottom. That means there is some margin given for the bottom. Okay, so and you can see, if you remember in the output, you can see that the width is big. So I just want to add a property for width, okay, which is, maybe I'll try to keep it as 350 pixel right now. So I'll save it. So I'll just go to the output and see, yeah, see, you can see my input box for email is ready. So what I want to do is, now I want to add a label. Okay, so similarly you can go back to the code. Okay, so you can see there is a label as well for this from this sample. I can directly copy it. Okay, so it's not really required if you don't want to copy it, but I'll just copy it. So let me save it. Okay, it shows an error right now. Here you can see this error. The thing here, it shows an error because I just want to do some change in manifest.json just to uh, so this flex enabled, because every control expects an ID and I don't want to give an ID for every control. Just I'll make it false for now, just, and you can see that there is no need to give an ID, any ID right now, and the error is gone. Okay, so if I go to the output, okay, so let me see. You can see the label and a input box. I know it doesn't look good, but yeah, it's okay for us for now. This should be okay. So similarly, I want to, for a sign in page, we need a password as well. So I'll just copy these labels. I just don't want to type it again, and I paste it. Okay, let's change the ID and says let's password ID pwid input, and I'll just keep it for the label for as well. It's just to make it same. And now I'll change the text as password, so the label is password. And here the important thing for the password is the password should be masked. So for that reason, we try to give the type as password here, so that the password is already masked. And also I'll change the placeholder. So let's go to the output and see, yeah, you have these two things. Okay, for now, yeah, we have created a label and input for email ID and password. Okay, but the view, you can see it's really not good. Okay, so I now want to make them vertically shown. Okay, so for that reason, I want to see if there is a control for us to place it vertical. So yeah, as soon as I tapped, so it's a layout, right? So if you want to make layout properly, so you can see we have an control for vertical layout. Okay, so let me go here. You can really read the description as well. Okay, the vertical control is simple way to align the multiple controls vertically. So it's just lays them vertical. Okay, so I can open it. So it's vertically placed here. So let me go to the code and see. Yeah, you can see here there is this control code for this vertical layout, and this is a start tag, and this is an end tag, and um, you can see we have three images placed vertically. But I'll try to copy this directly. So this vertical layout, okay, I'll just paste it above the label, the first label, and also copy the end label and placed it after the last control, and I'll just give some indentation. Okay, now the other thing you need to really see here is, for label I don't have anything at the starting, it's just directly started as label. Okay, but for vertical layout, if you see, it starts with L colon. Why is this? So now we are going into a bit more depth. Okay, so as I said, SAP also has different libraries. Okay, it has mobile library, it has layout library, it has form library. So if you see in the top, so I didn't explain about this yet, but I will go, as I said, I'll go one by step by step. So now you can see here at the end we have XML namespace equal to SAPM. So by default, whatever controls come from this library sap.m, we can directly use this tag. But this vertical layout is from a different library. So which library? You can go to the sample here. So you can see here L, and as in the top, you can see the first line of the tag. Okay, you can see the first tag. You can see there is XML namespace colon L and equal to, we have mentioned the library. That means instead of writing this library entirely here, we are just using the alias name as L. You can keep anything here. Instead of L, you can keep layout or you can keep your own name, but it just makes sense to keep a relevant name. Okay. So if we are keeping L, that means this vertical layout is coming from this library. Similarly, image doesn't have anything at the starting. So that means it comes from a default library, which is this one, because this doesn't have any colon. So that means this image tag comes from this mobile library. So we'll try to use this here, copy it. You can see the first tag and just paste it with a space. Okay. So you can just, now this vertical layout comes from this namespace. Okay. So let's go to this, let's go and see the output, how it looks like. You can see now it's vertically aligned. So there's a label, input, password, and enter password. Okay. So now uh, I have a class here. So I just want to change this class. Let me give SAP UI. I want to give small margin for each for this vertical layout. So I'll just do this. So just to reduce the space. So now it looks better than the before. Okay. So yeah, that's the reason. So yeah, this is how we can check the samples from this documentation, I would say, or this website, I would say, and we can check for this and we can write, we can code our things faster, easier. Okay, it's it's so much faster than just using a React or maybe other front-end frameworks. Okay, so now let's try to place a button at the bottom which says sign in or login. Okay, so now let's go here as a sample. So I'll go for search for button. Okay, so there is a button here as an action. So I click on button. There are two samples. So as I click on sample, see here there are different buttons. Okay, you just need to choose which button suits better. So even with CSS, there are, it's already defined here. You can have icon buttons. These are the icon buttons. You can have different colored buttons, so emphasized button, default button, icon button, accept button. So it's like green color, reject button, it's in red color. So it gives CSS by default, as I said. Okay, so I'll try to take this emphasized button. Okay, if you want to look at a code, how to create this emphasized button, you can just go to the code and it's at the bottom. So it's, I'll just go here and I'll scroll to the bottom, and you can see in the line 81 there is a button type emphasized. So that's it. So if I want to create it, I just copy this and I go here. I'll try to place it in the vertical layout. Okay, button emphasized, and I would change the text to sign in, maybe sign in, and on press sign in as a event. So press is an event here. So now let's save it and see the output again. See, the sign in button comes up with nice CSS. Okay, but now I want to place this sign in button right side. So here everything starts from left alignment, but I want to place this sign in button to the left side. So there could be different ways to do this. Okay, So I just want to introduce more controls to you as well. So that's the reason I would maybe try to use some different layout, which we will use a lot just to make the UI look good for the uh, login page. Okay. So now I go to the samples again, and I'll try to check layouts maybe. Okay, because I'm just trying to search for you also. There is a layout section here, and so there are different layouts you can use really. Okay, so for now I would check with Flexbox. So this is really good. So there are 8 samples as usual. So I'll just start with this first sample. So you can see here the alignment of these 3 boxes are upper left, and similarly upper center, upper right, middle left. So likewise you can see. So our requirement here is we want to place our button to the right side. Okay, so for that reason I would maybe choose upper right. Okay, let me go to the code, and there is a section here upper right, so I would say this is the code we need to look for. Okay, so here I have the flex box. Okay, and these are the properties for the flex box. So I would try to copy this. So you can see, you need to always check this is from which library, because here flexbox is there. So there is it from a default library. So what's the default library? Go to the top, see in the first line. So it's sap.m. So this is also default library for our page. Okay, so let's copy this. So I'll try to place it here. Okay, and also we need to close the tag. So flexbox, I close the tag. So let me remove the height. I don't want the height, and alignment start. So I'll just use exactly, and let's see how it looks like. Okay, I'll go to the output. See, it aligned exactly to the right. So this is what we are looking for. So it's coming good, right? So now um, I would introduce another control, for example. So which is, for example, I don't have an account. So as a new user, I want to register. So for that, I would need some option to navigate to a different screen. Okay, so for that option, I can also see another example, which is link. Okay, so as soon as I click on link, so there are different links as well. There are a lot of samples you can really check. Okay, so in the links we have different, so it's a disabled link as an example. If you click on this link, it tries to open a alert box, or if you click on this page link, it tries to open a new website. So that's out. So the link can be used in different ways. Okay, so if you want to see the sample, as usual, you can go here and use one sample. So I want to use the first sample, so it's also just check from which library always. So it's from the M library. I need to just copy this. Let me paste it after the flex box. And so the text I would write it as I don't have any account. And when I press this, I would say nav to sign up. So I'm just writing the event right now. I haven't written what to do. It's just a press event. I'm giving a function name for it, but there is nothing written for the function yet. Okay. So now let us check, save it, and go to the output and see how it looks like. I don't have an account, but I would give some space uh, above this link just to make it better, look better. So if you want to give space like margin or padding, SAP has already given classes, so you can just type class equal to, and we can type SAP UI small. So I want to give small. Okay, margin top. Let me save it and go back to the view. So there is a little bit space. Okay, If you want to see different sample, it could be large, maybe large margin top. You can see there's a lot of space, so this doesn't look good, so I would revert it back to small. Okay, so this looks good now. So I would say, I have created a nice form, but let's make this form look more elegant, or the view look more elegant. And I have a logo also. So in the left side we try to display a logo, in the right side we try to display a form, and align this complete form to the center of the screen just to make it look better. Okay, before that, if you see in this view page, we have a bar at the top. It's like a header, and there is some title, some text. Okay, so for the login page I don't want any header. Okay, so if I go back to our code, so where is this title coming from? So it's from the page control. So the title, it's coming from this. Okay, I will explain what exactly is this little later, but for now I don't want a title. So if I just remove this title and if I go to the output, you will still see the bar, but there is no text. So this is also not good. I don't want to see the bar, and for that reason, page has a property called show header, so which I'll make it as false. So as soon as I go back, you don't see the header anymore. Okay, so now let's try to place an image to the left side of this form. So for the image, similarly, you can go and look into the samples, but I'll try to type it directly. So image is the image, same tag in HTML as well. So it's image. So image, for an image we need to give an source, so from where this image comes from. So in a model I have already kept an logo, a png file, so I'll try to use this png file. So it's from model file, and the image is fire underscore ui5 logo.png, and I want to set the width of this image to uh, 200 pixel 200 pixel, and let's try to see the output again. So this is the nice image I've created online. So let's try to give some width and space around this image so it looks good. So for that, if you want to arrange it properly as a center and a width and everything, so I would try to create a flex box around this image. So you already know the flexbox control, so it's really useful or handy to arrange the controls in a nice way. Okay, at the top, center, wherever it is, wherever you can place, you can directly do it. So this is the flexbox control, and I want to align this items as a in a center, so center. And so you have a direction whether you can align or use this flexbox as a row or a column. And for this, at least I want to keep it as a column. And I want to justify, I mean, we have other property justify content. So this is also to make this content center. And I would take the width as probably 400 pixel. And I'm trying to create this for a desktop application. So, and I also give height as 100%, and let's try to see the output again. So you can see it took some height and it is centered. I know these two parts are not aligned side by side. So that's the next step we are going to do, that we want to align this two image and the form side by side. And for that, I would need another flex box. I would need another flex box to keep as a first item this image flexbox and the second item as a vertical. So this will be row. So I'll try to create another flexbox here. So which is flexbox, and here I want to do align items as usual. In general I want to align items to center for now, and here the direction is row because I want to align them side by side, and and I want to align the content also to the center. Okay, I'll just move this end tag all through the end so that, so now in this flex box we have two items. One is this flex box and the second one is this vertical layout. So there are two items which will be placed side by side. So if I go and see the output, you can see these two are aligned side by side. Okay, so this looks really good, right? So now I want to make this align to the center of the page. Okay, I know I have to use another flex box and which I'll take as a column, and column is vertical, and then I'll try to keep it as center to align. Okay, so for that I'll try to create, I'll just copy this, okay, and I'll try to create another flex box. So but I'll try to close the tag, and I'll close the tag now, but I'll make this as a column. And always if the flex box is column, mostly we try to keep the height as well, give the height, because unless until you give the height it will not consider, we cannot keep it center of the page. Okay, if you're considering the browser as a 100% height, then we can keep 100% height, and now as soon as you keep align item center or justify content center, it will be aligned really center. Okay, so now if I go back and see the output, so it is aligned at the center of the page. So now let's try to give some do some styling so that it looks way more better, because you can see it's a big page and it's just aligned. Okay, so I just want to make a box here and give some shadow and some coloring to the left side so that it looks more better. Okay, so for that we always have a class as a tool to use it. Okay, so I'll try to uh, give a class for this flexbox class class, and I'll try to give some class as custom login background as a name. It's a style name. So now, until now we are using SAP standard classes, but this is something which is custom, which you have given yourself. And if you see in the left side, we have this folder structure. In this we have a folder by default created which is CSS style. You can, there is a style.css file as well. Okay, so this is already linked with this view, so you can just double click on this style and we can write our class or styles which are required here. Okay, so now I try to use this custom login background as a class, copy it, and I'll try to give this class here, and I'll give a background color white, because right now we have a light gray color, so I'll try to give background color as white, and also give an box shadow, so which would be maybe 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 5 pixels, and this shadow would be if it is light black but with transparency 0.2, so it's better looking light shadow. And I will also make this height of this flex box as fixed as like height equal to maybe around 500 pixel, so that I can really see this. Oh, I need to save this view as well. Now if I go back to the output, I can see a nice box and a little bit of shadow. So this is maybe a little better than before. Let's try to give another color to the left side of this page as an yellow color, so that it matches to our fire. Okay, so I'll go to okay, I'll go to this flex box because image is under this flex box. So I'll type maybe class here and give custom logo background. So I'll copy this logo background, go to style again. So this way I can give a background color which is FCET. Let's go back to the output. It looks good now. So it's yellow background and the right side you can say sign in page and the buttons are clickable. I didn't write any actions as of now. You can click on the link as well to just to navigate to the second page. So now you have learned a lot of controls, how to see the samples, how to write your own code, and Flexbox is really at and and we have used also and we have also used Flexbox to align our controls. Okay. Likewise, if I go to the output, I know I don't have an account, so I need to click on this uh, link. I need to click on this link and go to the second page where I can really use the same layout. Okay, I'll just try to use the same layout, but I just add extra inputs, either a full name and also a confirm password and change the button name and also link to go back to the login page. Okay, so this is the second page I would like to create. So now if I want to create a new uh, view, okay, so it's not about only the view. There are different things also we need to consider. It is that every view has a linked controller. What's the difference? View is just the UI part. And if you see here, we have written two actions. And for this actions, we need to write some functionality. So this functionality can be written in the controller. So we have this main view.controller. You can double click and see. So this is where we can write our own functions and write it. And also we need to consider routing part. As soon as you click on the link, it should navigate to the second screen. So for that, you need to create a different view for sure. Then as when you create a view, you need to also create the control, but also you need to consider adding this routing part. So where can you see this routing part? So now you go to manifest and scroll down. You can see here routing. Okay, so there is a library which does for us all the things, and here we try to define the routes. So here you just define a name for a route and what's the pattern it needs to be followed. So pattern is something I'll try to show it. Okay, and target. So there is a target name given. Okay, so as soon as you can highlight this target, there is a targets section here. In this you can see this the name, same name is used, and you can see here the view ID and the view name, which are really important because this is where it will understand. For this pattern, it should navigate to this view, which is main view, so which is the view which we are working until now. Okay, now you can see this code here, and now as soon as I try to create a new view using this easy generator, it tries us to it tries to create a controller as a view and also add this routing part. Okay, so for that I need to terminate my job which is running, so the UI, and I try to type. I'll just move up a little bit. So I need to give this command to create a new view. So this is not the only way, you can just create it manually, but I am trying to use this yo generator, so it's easy, no need to consider routing controller, create a controller, and it's easy, it automatically creates it. Okay, as soon as you enter this command, it tries to give you all the options um, for us, and you can see you want to create an app, or so there are different options here. Okay, so now you can see add a new view to the existing process. This is the option I would select. So then it asks us a view name. For now, for us it is sign up page. I want to create a sign up page or a sign up view, so I'll give sign up view. So you'd like to create the controller as well. Yes, I would like to have the controller. And you would like to as an OPA5 object. No, I don't want to do this now. You want to create a root. Yes, this is very much needed. And now it asks, because it is trying to override this manifest.json. Okay, so here you can really have different options. Okay, I want to see the differences, so what it will change. I really want to understand how was it right now and what it tries to add, because I would like to confirm what it tries to add, just not to mess up my manifest. Okay, so I'll press on D, so it will try to show the differences. So now if I see it here, so it is trying to add this new route with the name sign up, and the route pattern is route sign up, and the target is target sign up. And you can see the target sign up, it added me the view name and view page. So this name and the pattern are linked to this new view. This looks good. It's just trying to add this uh, routing part, and for me it is okay. So I just press yes, so it's overwrite. So now it was overwritten. So now if I see in the left side, there's a new page came up, so which is sign up page, and there's a controller, sign up controller. And if I go to the manifest, I can see our routing is added. Okay, this is good. So now I would I would like to click on this. I don't have an account link, and it should route to the new page. For that, I need to go to my sign up for the main view page, because I really want to know, check what was the event or a method name or a function name was given for this event. So the link, you can see press was the event, and I have given this now to sign up as a function name. So I copy this function name. I go to the main view.controller, okay, because I have used it in main view.view. So I'll go to this controller, and after this initial function, okay, I would come back to this function little later, but I'll try to give this function name. So the structure, the syntax you need to follow is the function name colon space, and you need to really type the function word, and parenthesis if you have any input parameters, and curly brace just to write your logic here. So to call the second view, we need to call this router. Okay, and how can we call? So from this controller, you need to call the component.js, because the routers are defined in the manifest.json, as we know. So this manifest.json is called from this component.js, and also the router is initialized in this. Okay, so now if I go to this controller again, I try to type this keyword. So this means this controller, and of for this controller there is a component linked. So I want to get this owner component, and this owner component, so it brings the component. I want to get the router, and from this router I want to navigate. So for which uh, page you want to navigate? So I want to navigate to sign up page. So what should I give here? Okay, so now if I go to manifest.json again, you can see here the name of the sign up router is really sign up. Okay, so that's the reason I give a name called sign up. Okay, so now the function is written here. So this is how you can navigate to different page. Now I try to execute my start my web page again. So run the web page. So it's npm start. So now I came to this page. So now as I have written a function, as soon as I click, you can see I've routed to a new page. So there's a title and it's a new page really. Okay, and you can see that URL got changed. So initially it was only until HTML. As soon as I click on it, it gives hash and a router name or router link. Okay, so you can see what is this. You can go to manifest.json and see the pattern. Okay, this is the pattern. You can see route sign up. So the route sign up. So this is how you can navigate. Okay, no need to navigate always using index.html. So you can to go to index.html and click on this to navigate it. Instead, you can directly add the pattern here so that you can see the sign up page automatically. So this is how the routing happens. So now, uh, this sign up page, it's really empty. So I would like to have the same kind of structure, but I will add the similar to the login page, and I'll try to add maybe full name and a confirm password. Okay, and you know it already, we have a header and a description here. I don't want to have both of them, so I'll try to remove the title. And also you remember, if you remember the property show header, so I'll try to make it false. So this way the header is all, there is no header. So now I'll try to go to main.view page. I'll copy this entire code. Okay, so from content, so I'll paste between the content. Okay, so don't forget, so just placing the code from the content will not work. You should also consider if the libraries are present. Okay, so you can remember we are using this layout library to load this vertical layout. So you can use flexbox also, it doesn't matter, but I'm using vertical layout just to introduce the new library. So for that I'll go here and I'll copy this namespace layout as well and try to keep it here in the first tag, view tag. And now you can see the sign up page, the route sign up also has this. Okay, so now I'll just add uh, full name and also confirm password make just to get an input from the end user for the name and as well as the confirmation. So now I'll add name and confirm password for a registration page and also change the label of the text of the button. Okay, so I'll just paste the same code and I'm just modifying it. I would say it's full name, maybe label for name input. I'll give the same ID here and I'll remove the type because name is just a string, and I will write enter full name. So this looks good. And now I'll try to copy the same for confirm password. I'll try to enter, paste it here. So maybe CNF password. I'll try to use the same thing here. And for password, I'll type confirm password. And yeah, this should looks okay. Or instead of enter password, I'll type re-enter password. This looks good. I'll try to save it and go and see. Boom. The as soon as you entered, it's faster, right? It just replaced it, it displayed. Okay, so now instead of I don't have account, I have an account. I have an account and navigate to sign in page. Okay, I just gave another event, another function name for this thing, just to we can name as per our requirement and also to understand it. Okay, so nav to sign in page, it's easier to understand, navigate to sign in page. Okay, and also I'll change the button text also to sign up. And yeah, it looks better, but this nav to sign in page, it's not working. So you know how to do it now. Okay, so for sign up view, we have a controller called sign up dot controller. So I'll try to copy this function name and go to the signup.controller, and there is nothing as of now. I'll try to create a new function here. So as I said, function name colon uh, function input parameters, input parentheses. So for the input parameters, curly braces. And you can always do this dot get owner component dot get router dot nav 2. What is the name for the um, sign in page? So let's go to manifest and see root main view. This is the name. Okay, so let's go back to our sign up controller and give it. Okay, so now let me save it, go back, click on this, you go to the login page, click on this, you go to the registration page. I hope you understood what is routing, how we can do it, what is view, how to create it, and we have written also the basic functions in the controller. So every view has a different, every view has a their own controller where we can write the business logic. So this is how the view code and the functionality, the logic code is really in different files, and it's really easy to understand. So as a next step, we try to use Firebase for the authentication purpose, and for registration page we try to create a user, and from login page we authenticate this user and really navigate to the main view. Okay, so we'll try to do this as the next step.